All right, well, thank you everyone for joining the webinar in goal setting and executive level, at the executive level and beyond. Today's webinar is really a square one approach, okay? Somewhat of an intro to goal setting, and it's really designed to be a little bit more of a high level overview, but also to give you some tools on driving success from a goal perspective. So for the most part, the goals that we'll be talking about today are more centered around quarterly goals, biannual goals, designed to really drive a business forward. So as an introduction, my name is John Fagan. I'm a partner with Next Level Catapult, and I've spent most of my career in the marketing services world, building programs that really are built to scale, developing people, developing teams. I've been actually developing teams for the entirety of my career, starting with my work at Kraft Foods, Oscar Mayer division, where I used to put hundreds of people on the road via the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. And then I also built and led Target's Beauty Concierge program, where we deployed over 500 people across the country to work in stores. So from these things and everything in between, goal setting for success for myself, for my teams that I managed, were very, very important. So now I'm an executive coach, career coach, business operating system facilitator. We also implement predictive index, and I'm also a team health consultant. So I'm going to try to let somebody else into the meeting here. Pardon the ding here. One moment. Okay, let's see. Perfect. All right. Okay, moving on. So a little bit about Next Level Catapult. We are a management consulting and coaching firm. We have 3 verticals that we really primarily focus on. That is people development. That consists of things like one-to-one coaching, training, predictive index implementation. From an organizational development standpoint, this includes our management operating system, which we call BOSS, as well as some AI core integration within businesses to drive efficiencies. And special project development, this could be IT, marketing, consulting, HR, operations. And so these regular webinars that we host, they're available to our clients and really anyone who wants to attend and join and take advantage of different educational opportunities. So the goal is to take some of our curriculum that we've developed over the years and provide that to our clients or anybody else that just wants to make it accessible to their broader organizations. So I'm going to let this one other person in here. And sorry for kind of bouncing back and forth. So for our purposes today, the way that we would define goal setting is a specific, measurable, and time-bound objective that an individual team or organization works toward achieving. Okay, so that's kind of how we will define it today. And by the way, if anybody has any questions, you can drop them in the chat. I'll probably see those at the end of our session. But if you want to come off mute, ask questions as we go, please feel free to do that. We can make this as interactive as we would like here. So goals provide clear direction. So increased focus empowers productivity. They can drive needed benchmarks for measuring success. Goal setting is also a crucial component for achieving efficient movement toward desired strategic outcomes. So it's really easy to get caught up in our day-to-day as we scale, as things get complicated, and oftentimes we have blinders on and we just focus on what is in our direct line of sight. And it's really easy to get caught up in that. When we can really set attainable goals that are designed to move the business forward, we take this conscious step to drive action and activity that can get us to where we need to be. But it's not just about setting the goal. It's also about the steps that we take as leaders, managers, owners, team members to ensure that these goals get set. And we'll talk about kind of the 6 key areas that we need to make goals successful. But first, I want to kind of talk about what people call goals. You probably heard a lot of these things in the industry, like OKRs, rocks, SMART goals, and stuff like that. And I want to kind of like just talk about how some of these have real similarities when we talk about just goals as an overarching idea. So the first one is OKRs. This one was really popularized in the 70s. It was introduced to companies like Google. And so OKRs is it's a goal setting framework that helps organizations kind of define their goals. They track the outcomes. So you have the objective, which is the O, and then you have the key results, which is the tracking of the outcomes needed to achieve the goal. It's basically it emphasizes clarity, it emphasizes focus, alignment across the organization, and makes it really trackable and quantifiable. Another thing you've probably heard is rocks. This is EOS, really traction. Wickman was really an implementer here. There was this visual of putting rocks and pebbles and sand into a jar to showcase it, if anybody's ever seen that. But rocks are really the most important priorities that we need to accomplish within a specific time frame, and generally it's a quarter. So of how we put rocks into play. The rocks are similar to goals because they're the most significant impact on the organization, ensuring that these things get tackled first. One of the more popular ones is SMART goals. These are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals. So this one came up in the 80s, and it's really a good way to articulate whether a goal is right for the organization. And then one that I just actually saw an article on today is the big, hairy, audacious goal. These are really more long-term goals that are set to really drive long-term success. These might stretch a team a little bit more. These might be the big goals. So these kind of came out, coined by Jim Collins, Jerry Porras, in their book, Built to Last, Successful Habits of the Visionary Companies. So all of these nomenclatures and vernaculars of goals, they're all driven to do the same type of thing, and that is to drive a business forward, to put organization behind it so that we actually have a chance of achieving these goals. So we're going to kind of talk about how do we talk about goals and how do we start to achieve these goals, and give some tools on the pathway to making sure that our goals are successful. So the first one is just goal setting. Okay, setting clear, specific, and achievable goals is really the foundation of any successful strategies. Goals give direction, they provide motivation, and they set a benchmark really for success. So at the executive level, it is essential, and every level, to align these goals with the broader organization vision and strategy. Any goal that we set, we must be able to articulate how it will serve our desired outcome. Many times, even that desired outcome is a goal. So our mission or desired outcome may be something around financial growth or operational sustainability or stability. So some example goals could be increase sales by 20% in the next 12 months, reduce operational costs by X%, improve customer retention by 30%. So all goals have to be a springboard to achieving our desired outcome or our main objective. So we just can't set goals that don't achieve our desired outcome. They must be clear, and they must be agreed upon by all stakeholders. Okay, but it's not just about setting a goal. Many times we get into a room, we set these goals. Oh, we're gonna increase sales by 20%. And everybody kind of punches the air, and we have a lot of people in there that are really excited, and we miss the part about the plan, like the owner, or how are we going to get to this goal in this certain amount of time. So there's a few steps that if we can really be accountable to, we can make our goals that much more achievable. And the first one is assigning assigning ownership. So it's really important that you not only assign ownership, but define what ownership means to the organization and a team. And I find that a lot of teams, they understand the concept of ownership, but don't really understand what true ownership is. So while you will have one owner for the goal that's going to be accountable for that nucleus, there may be tasks, deliverables, methodologies that are owned by separate people on the team. But that said, the accountability as a whole starts with and ends with the main owner. If ownership is unclear, or there are multiple owners, the path to achieving the goal will definitely not be as efficient, and it could fail. But when we have one clear owner, there's no question on where the accountability lies. So in our example of increasing sales by 20% by August of 2025, this may be the goal of the VP of Business Development. So that might be their high-level goal. She owns the objective and is accountable for the success of the goal, even if there are other stakeholders involved with the tasks, the sub-goals, and anything else that might cascade through the team. We'll talk about kind of creating a plan in a few moments, but when we assign ownership, we have to be very clear and very concise. And a few simple best practices are assigning a clear owner. And it's not just about assigning an owner, but gaining commitment from that stakeholder that they agree to take ownership. And if everybody could make sure that they're on mute, that would be helpful. So assigning a clear owner, gaining commitment from that stakeholder that they agree ownership. Clearly define the responsibilities and timing. Okay, we have to clearly define what the goal is and what the timing of the goal is. Ensure the understanding and commitment of the goal. Everybody's got to be on the same page. Give the owner autonomy to achieve the goal, and then provide clear check-ins to make sure that the goal is on track to be delivered. Okay, so ownership is step one. Someone must always own the goal, one owner. Next, we create a plan. So if we're going to have a successful goal, we have to have a plan on how to get there. All successful goals have a plan. Most of the time when the plan is going to involve other people that have tasks or even sub-goals, they have to ensure the success of the main goal, okay? So we're accountable for all of the sub-goals, all of the other goals, but we have to have a plan. In our example, cutting operational costs. This goal may be owned by the COO or the CFO at the executive level, but they are not going to achieve this on their own, single-handedly. So we have to have a method and the players on what's going to ensure the success of this goal. And this is about saying, okay, we need to cut costs by 5%. The next question must be, how are we going to do that? What is our methodology, and who is going to help? Who are the players that are going to help? So some things may be, okay, we need to create budgets within a 5% accuracy range. We need to deploy a 3-bid system for our vendor selection. We need to decrease overnight shipping by 60%. We need to refine our staffing hours for maximum efficiency. We need to cut discretionary spending. So these are all a plan that layer up to that goal of cutting our operational costs by 5%. Okay? Many other owners, many other things that are involved, but these all layer up to the main goal. Any of the areas of methodology, they could, like I said, be owned by a stakeholder, like a director. The director of ops may own the task of redesigning the budget methodology to ensure maximum accuracy. And then it will be up to them to benchmark their way to success, okay? And while they may own this portion of the main goal, our COO is still the main owner of the big goal, cutting operational costs by 5%. So the COO is tracking the accountability of the director to ensure that these things are being pulled up and that the main goal is on track. So this is most important. The most important goals usually have like the cascading effect. That is why a solid plan is really important. And that solid plan to track these is the next step, which is benchmarking. And this is, benchmarking is one of the areas where we start to fall off, okay? We start to maybe not plan that as much because benchmarking takes time, but when we can create these checkpoints that serve as the status markers for the progress of our goal, we can now track our success. When we can successfully be hitting these milestones, these benchmarks, we know that our goal is in sight or not in sight. When we fall behind or miss big milestones, we may need to dig in and see if we have an ownership challenge, if we have a goal challenge. Either way, sound benchmarking gives us a proactive view, okay, of trouble on the horizon and being surprised by it. Okay, so benchmarking is really important to getting to the end. So it consists of setting points of completion along the way, okay, where performance can be measured. This helps in the understanding of how we are progressing. So to effectively benchmark, start by setting milestones that lead up to the ultimate goal. So these are checkpoints, these are check-ins, and we regularly measure against these milestones and these benchmarks so that we can see ahead challenges, roadblocks, and bottlenecks where we need to bat these things down. This will keep us on track, but it also really gives us valuable insights into, one, our project, and two, our risk factors of where someone may or may not be knocking the cover off the ball in terms of accountability. So a final thought here, when benchmarks are hit, and with all of these things, as we're having successes, celebrate the milestones, like celebrate the team that's involved. Like that can be a good feeling to keep people motivated. This is awareness about success, about congratulating a team for hitting milestones. Now, when appropriate, setting KPIs, which are key performance indicators, can be really a critical component to measuring the success, especially for the bigger goals, okay? So KPIs are specific metrics that track performance in relation to our goals. These should be directly tied to a goal or a methodology to provide a picture of progress and success. So it's a little bit deeper now than benchmarking. If we have a goal around increased revenue, and one of the areas that we're focusing on is our outreach metric, okay? Meeting frequency, close rates. We can set KPIs to create awareness around this performance. So for example, if we set a KPI of 10 meetings per week to pitch potential business as a metric that will drive the success of our goal, we can track this metric as an indicator of whether we are moving in the right direction. Again, this style of metric can serve as a risk identifier. So if we're consistently tracking on a weekly or a monthly basis our KPIs of 10 meetings per week, and we see a trend of consistently 3 meetings per week, we know that this is an indicator that there's a risk. This is an indicator that something's wrong and we need to dig in and then understand the why and take action on fixing that why. So tracking actionable KPIs, ensuring that the team understands the KPIs will serve the end goal is very important. So some of the steps and some of the tips on setting KPIs, just make sure that they're clear, make sure that they're relevant, make sure that the KPI is actionable, meaning that there is an effort that can drive the success of the metric. ensure that KPIs provide insights for decision making, and then always regularly review. So if we're setting KPIs, but we're not reviewing the KPIs on a regular basis, we might as well not set the KPIs. And then the final one is track and report. Okay, so tracking progress and regularly reporting on that progress gives us real-time viewpoint on goals and how they progress over weeks and months and quarters of time. So tracking also provides a level of transparency, accountability within the team. It allows us to identify trends. It addresses problems in the moment and keeps everybody well informed. Okay, so you can implement a robust tracking system that captures real-time data, provides accessible reports. I have a few examples of these later on in the presentation. We have people doing this that use, project management tools, spreadsheets, and lots of other types of technology. So from the goal setting perspective, there are some pitfalls that everyone should try to avoid. Okay, so common mistakes and stuff like that we can learn from to know that not to do when we're trying to set goals. The first one is setting vague goals, and it's a very common pitfall when setting goals and making them a little bit too vague. So goals like improving sales, okay, great goal, but it's very vague, right? Or increase customer satisfaction. These are too broad. They lack clear direction. So when goals are vague, it becomes difficult to determine what success looks like or how to measure progress. So to avoid this, we have to ensure our goals have a high level of clarity. So nothing is up for the team at large to demystify. So for example, instead of saying improve sales, maybe we say increase sales by 20% in the next quarter. So this clarity helps the team focus their efforts, track their achievements more effectively, and it also takes the guesswork out of something like improve sales. So some tips to not setting vague goals is going to be clearly define what we want to achieve. Be clear. Be very concise on what we want to achieve. Define how we measure success. Achievability check. Can we achieve this goal? And make sure that it's relevant to the broader goals of the organization and also solidify the timing. Okay? Another pitfall can be what I call the wrong side of ambition. So ambition can be a double-edged sword. When it's important to set challenging goals, setting unrealistic goals or too many goals can demotivate a team. So if goals are perceived as unattainable, stakeholders may not even try to achieve them. This is why a balance is so important for success. Ambitious and realistic goals that push a team to do their best without setting them up for failure is key. It's also helpful to break down some of the larger goals into smaller manageable milestones and goals like we talked about before. Leaving out the key players in goal setting process can lead to misalignment, lack of understanding, and also lack of commitment, which is really important when we have a goal. If goals are set without input from those responsible for achieving the goal, it can create an entire disconnect between leadership's expectations, the team's capabilities, and even the ability of the team to perform. So involve all relevant stakeholders in goal setting, in the goal setting process, and make sure that the goals are realistic, they're understood, they're clear, there's a clear metric of ownership, and collaborative goal setting really does foster a more cohesive and motivated team. So some tips here, identify and include stakeholders on who is going to be there, involve the stakeholders in goal setting discussions, solicit input and feedback from all relevant parties, confirm that the goals align with the team capabilities, the strategy of the organization, and everyone is committed to the success of the goals, and then clearly communicate the final goals of each team member. So make sure that everybody is understanding. Another pitfall is too many goals. We get into a room, we're brainstorming ideas, everybody's raising their hand, we've got a whiteboard up, and next thing you know, there are 20 priorities on the whiteboard. So having too many goals can really spread our resources too thin. It can create frustration within the team, it can dilute the focus away from the progress, and it really does risk quality. So when teams are juggling too many goals, it can be challenging to ensure excellence in any one area. So good practice is to prioritize and concentrate on a few critical goals per person that will have or team that will have the most significant impact on the desired outcome of the organization. Focus what's on important and ensure that every goal has significant impact to drive success. So by narrowing our goals, we can allocate our resources more efficiently and really drive better results. So some tips on the too many goals piece is identify and rank the goals based on importance and impact. So as you have those 20 goals on the whiteboard, go through and identify and prioritize the goals on where we need to get for the next few months and what can maybe wait till the next quarter. Focus on 3 to 5 goals for a team at any given time, depending on the size of your team. Ensure that the resources are allocated appropriately. Again, postpone those goals that are not critical to the current success, but can wait till the next quarter or even the next year. And then continuously review and adjust the priorities depending on the priorities of the organization and changing circumstances. Another one is lack of follow-up. Okay, this is the last one we'll go through. Setting goals is the easy part. Again, we're really excited to set these goals because we can see the end game. But what we usually do is we miss some of the steps in between of getting to that goal. The excitement, go all the way to the end. So follow through is what truly drives success. So a common challenge when setting goals is failing to monitor the progress and even hold stakeholders accountable. So it's extremely easy to get caught up in our day-to-day responsibilities, lose sight, lose track of our goals and priorities. I'm sure everyone on the call has felt that at some time. Like we get into the weeds, we get into our priorities, and those goals that are really set to drive the business forward, we lose sight. And one day becomes a week becomes a month, and next thing you know, we're sitting in the conference room again, getting ready to talk about our goals, and we're not prepared. This is why having a plan for success is really vital to achieving any goal that we have. Tracking our goals regularly can expose those early indicators of stakeholders that have lost sight or just gotten too bogged down in the day-to-day and are not looking at the big picture as often as they should. Some tips here for lack of follow-through or lack of follow-up. Monitor progress towards goals from start to finish. This is, when you have your weekly meetings, your daily stand-ups, your monthly strategy meetings, monitor the progress. Goals should be on the agenda. Track the progress. Check in weekly, monthly, during one-on-ones for the owners and for the people that are accountable to these goals. Make sure we clearly define who is responsible for each goal. Ensure that they understand and commit. Recognize and celebrate those achievements. This is going to maintain motivation within the team. And then be prepared to pivot. Just because we set a goal and set priorities, we have to be able to pivot and adjust strategies based on performance data and feedback. So some of the tools in the industry, this is a very small list of tools. You've probably
John,
seen some, yeah, please.
may I ask a question? Yeah,
Absolutely.
so thank you so much, first of all, for consolidating and preparing the presentation and like putting it in a structured way. I wanted to ask your opinion on what is your position on linking results and to objectives. I mean, like to the compensation benefits of people. I mean, if they achieve their objectives, you know, some companies, they do link objectives and results to the compensation benefit of the team. From your point of view, do you think it increases accountability or it leads to other negative results?
As long as it's done properly and responsibly, it can lead to better results. So the way that I've worked with some organizations in the past and actually presently is there are KPIs that are tied to a bonus structure. So if it's for reducing labor costs in a certain way, if it's to reducing food costs, if it's for better like zero-based budgeting, those things can drive accountability because you are actually tying their compensation to it. Now, if it's too broad and if it is not wholly actionable by that individual, it can become a little bit blurry there. So if it's, we usually have, our company goals that are part of our bonus structure and then our individual goals. So tying compensation or part of the bonus structure to goals can drive accountability if it's done correctly. So that person has to be able to take full action to be able to control that number. In the example that we used for like business development, 10 calls a day, 3 meetings a week, whatever some of those things that drive, the business flow, the pipeline of the business. Those for business development, I've seen many, many, many times that a lot of these KPIs are tied to the compensation, in addition to things like commission. So if you are going to tie it to a bonus structure, make sure that the person has, full autonomy to actually control that KPI. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much, John.
Yeah, thank you. So some of the tools that are used in the industry, and again, this is a small handful. Some of these are project management tools. Some of them are organizational tools. So Asana project management tool, organizing, tracking KPIs. There's dashboarding, project tracking. Trello, they have some customizable workflows. Again, progress tracking, which is really important. It also integrates with some of the other apps. Monday.com I have some clients that work on that. Project management, dashboarding, task management, Basecamp, kind of the same type of thing but has like things like file storage, real-time messaging. A lot of these have, to-do lists. ClickUp, all-in-one productivity. It's very customizable. It's very robust. It's got time tracking even with if your organization uses time tracking. Our organization internally, we use Notion. It's a great tool for like workplace, data management, project management. There's lots of customizable templates we use with our operational our boss system, operational system piece, and even our one-to-one executive coaching, goal setting, database creation, and it also integrates with other apps. But there's a lot of other tools out there. This is just a short list. If you're looking for something to kind of like organize some of these things in a cohesive manner, this is a good start to a list to go through and see. So to summarize kind of the 6 steps to goal success is setting goals. Obviously, that's step 1. Setting clear and concise goals, attainable goals, goals that reach out, that serve our desired outcome. Assigning ownership. If we have 2 owners or no owners, If we just have a goal that nobody is overseeing, many times the goal will not happen. Create a plan. All best goals have a great plan. Benchmark. What dates do we need to get from A to Z? Okay. It's almost like it can be a mini timeline, but we have to be able to hit certain points to get to the end. Set KPIs when appropriate to drive the success depending on what the goal is. And then track your progress. Very, very important. Track the progress. This should be done weekly, monthly, quarterly, and in a group setting and an individual setting. So one of the things I also talk to a lot of executives or different people that I coach or groups that I coach with when I'm in a room doing a team health session or something like that, we talk about professional goals, but I also am a big proponent of personal goals. I always encourage to set personal goals, and a lot of times you can use the same methodology. So I wanted to make sure and include the personal goal piece in this webinar because I do think it's very important for us as human beings to have a set of personal goals that can motivate us, that we can be successful at. And we face the same challenges with our personal goals that we do with our professional goals. It's easy to have a goal like, I'm going to lose 20 pounds. My goal is to lose 20 pounds by the end of the year because I'm going to go hit the all-inclusive in February and it's going to be great. So, but if we don't have a plan, again, then the goal often passes us by and we ultimately end up feeling a little bit bad about it. So, so having a plan. So I may think that, I want to optimize my health. Maybe that's not really a goal, but it's a need so that I can show up the right way for my family, for my friends, and some goals that I may set to achieve this is maybe I'm going to walk, run 4 to 5 times, 2 miles, 4 to 5 days a week. Maybe I'm not going to eat and drink like I'm in my early 20s. Maybe I'm going to meditate 3 times a week. Maybe I'm going to practice gratitude every morning. So kind of a holistic thing. So I might set benchmarks. I'm going to lose X by this date. I'm going to be able to run X miles by this date. And I can have my KPIs, total number of workouts per week, maybe total numbers of cocktails consumed, days of meditation, and I can track my KPIs to know when I'm having good times of accountability and not so good times of accountability. So I can look back and say like, okay, I almost achieved my goals. Here were my KPIs. Next time I track this, I'm going to include a different KPI, or I'm going to include something else that's going to maybe drive my goal a little bit differently. So some tips here. Define clear objectives, okay? I will lose 20 pounds this year. I will build my dream garden. Have the clear objectives that will ensure that you know exactly what you're striving for to build the right plan for success for your personal goal. Ensure that your goals align with your values and your long-term priorities. So make sure the goals are relevant to your own desired outcome as a human being. And then break them down into bite-sized achievable priorities. And this will increase kind of your run at success. So build a plan, stick to it. Remember that when we don't have a plan, our chances for success go way down. And then prioritize your goals. Focus on the ones that will drive impact. Consider starting with one big and one small. For me, I get up at 5:30 every morning, sometimes 5. I take my dog on a 2-mile walk. During that walk, I plan a little bit for my day, and I practice gratitude every day as a mindset piece. So part of my goal is to be a little bit more healthy. We're in a place as professionals where we can sit at our desk all day, and then we might have priorities with loved ones or friends or whatever in the evening, and getting a little bit of exercise or a little bit of movement in can be difficult. So for me, like starting with a goal of I'm going to walk 2 miles a day, with the dog, so the dog gets a walk. I'm going to practice gratitude because I find that important in my everyday life. And I'm going to plan my day so I don't have, so when I come and sit down, I can be as effective and efficient as possible. And then tell people about it. So nothing drives accountability like telling people about your personal goals, right? So like it's a little bit uncomfortable because you don't want to fail, but this also inspires people around you to set goals, promotes group accountability, and then visualize your success. Visualization can be an incredibly powerful tool. Visualize yourself on the path to your goal and achieving your goal. Visualize what it feels like and what the impact is, and let that feeling drive you through the tough times, okay? So I would encourage everyone on the call, in addition to taking advantage of setting goals in the workplace, and you can do this at the executive level, at the organizational level, or with your teams, but also setting personal goals for yourself and setting yourself up for success to achieve some of those personal goals. So that is that's our webinar for today. This is me and my information. If you would like a recording of the webinar, please drop your interest into the chat. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can get